Hey middle schoolers, this is Mrs. Cranbeer here, instructional coach, and I wanted to do a quick tutorial about Google Calendar for you. It's probably something that you've seen on your computers and maybe some of you use it, but I'm guessing that most of you are not using it to its fullest potential. It's a great tool to help you be more organized and to help keep track of all those things that you got coming at you as busy middle schoolers. So the first thing that I want to talk to you about is how to access your calendar. And there are a couple of different ways to access it. Obviously, anytime you are in either your mail or you're in your drive, you can access your calendar from those goofy little 9-dot Rubik's Cube looking thing. I don't know what you want to call it. Some people call it a Rubik's Cube, some people call it a waffle, some people call it a 9 square. Whatever you want to call it, you just need to click on it, and that's going to show you the different apps you have available. Mine might look a little different because I have an app where I can change out the ones that I want to use here, but yours definitely will have Google Calendar as a possible link right there. So all you have to do to access your calendar is click on it. Some of you may not have anything on there. Some of you may have a whole bunch of things on there already. The best part for me is to go through and I can change by month, I can change by day, I can look at it by week, or I can even look at it in more specific increments like 4-day increments. Or what I think is very useful for you guys is the agenda view, and that's where I can see basically a list of all the things that are important that I need to know about in my schedule for that day that I've put into my calendar or have been put into the calendar for me. So I'm going to go back to the month view, and I'm going to show you another way quickly of getting into your Google Calendar. Since we're using Google Classroom this year, there are a couple of ways that you can enter your Google Calendar from Classroom. You can click on the little 3-line insignia at the top and click on Calendar. However, that's only going to show you 1 week at a time. And that's fine if you're just looking for a Google Classroom assignment, but we would prefer that you actually go back, click on a class, go to the About page, and then this is the same view we just looked at, Viewing Classroom, but what we'd like you to do is to click on Open in Google Calendar, because then that will actually open up not just your classroom assignments that have been put in there by your teachers, but it will also show you the rest of your calendar if you've put any other personal notes on here, or if you're sharing a calendar with someone else, you can see all that information. It's going to default to the week view every time, but if you are like me and you like to see things ahead of time, you can look at the month view, or like I said, maybe you like that agenda view, you can click on that as well. I also want to show you quickly how to add something to your calendar. Now, your teachers are going to be adding assignments through Google Classroom, and they will show up on your Google Calendar so you can keep track of all of those due dates, and it'll really help you planning to make sure that you get things done when you need to. So let's say you have a volleyball game on the night before an assignment's due. Maybe you can start to think about, oh, I need to plan a time when I can get that homework done if I can't take my computer on the bus. So it helps you to plan ahead a little bit when you can see those assignments laid out in front of you. But I want you to know that you can also go in and add things on your own. So some of you have a volleyball game or a cross-country meet on the 6th. That means that Monday night, when you're celebrating having no school that day, you need to remind yourself to bring your uniforms. So if I am a particularly forgetful person and I want to set it up so I can remind myself, I have a couple of different options how I can do that. So I can either click right on the day that I want to type something in, which would be the 5th here. So if I click right on the day in the calendar, then I can type in a note to myself to remember, your uniform. And then I'm going to create that. So now I have a little note here to myself, remember your uniform. But let's say I want to take it one step further And instead of it just showing us as a general, like all day note to myself, I want to put a specific time on that. So if I want to say at 8 o'clock that night, I want to have a note pop up to remind me, then I can go in, click on it, click on Edit Event, and I get a whole new menu here that I can change and add some information. So it's really important. I want to make it bright red. I can do that. I can find a time. So if I want to say, yep, I want this to remind me at 8 p.m. So I have time before I go to bed to get everything all ready. So it defaults to an hour-long chunk of time, 8 to 9. Now you can drag it right on here. So if I want to make that only a half-hour chunk, I can do that. Or if I want to, I can adjust it up here too. Maybe I even only want to, it's only going to take me 10 minutes to set up my uniform and get it all ready. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save. And then you see it's showing up right here on my calendar at 8 p.m. Remember your uniform. And I have that little red that tells me that's important. I set that up. Okay. So that's one way you can add it. Another way you can add something to your calendar, if you don't particularly like to use it that way, is I can go up to the Create button up top here, and there's two different options. If I want to go into the actual calendar like I just did and be very specific and set things up, I can click on the actual Create button. I'm going to show you how to use the Quick Add button though, because I really like how quick this is. So if I know that I need to jot something down really quick or else I'll forget it, I'll go to the Quick Add little drop down arrow here, click on it, and I need to make sure that I am careful how I word it and careful what I type in, because you need to make sure it goes to the right place. So if I put in 9/6 and I'm going to put cross country meet, and then I can even put the time 4 to let's say 7 to be safe. And so then I can click Add. Isn't that cool? So it shows up on the date that I told it to show up, cross country meet, and it even shows up the time. And it says 4 p.m. because that's when it starts, but if I click on it, or if I go to my agenda view and look at that week, oops, that was the right week, I can see how long, right here, 4 to 7, I can see how long that is. And it even will come up with a notification reminder for me. You can set that to go off 10 minutes before or 15 minutes before so that it reminds you that that's something that's important. So I love that feature about Google Calendar. There's lots more that we can do with Google Calendar, but I'm going to stop for today. And I will do another installment that's going to talk more specifically about how you can add calendars or how you can make specific calendars. Maybe you want to make a sport calendar, or you want to make a home calendar versus your school calendar. But we'll save that for the next installment. Thanks for listening.